Welcome back to ChatGPT for Beginners. In our last video, we learned that long, detailed prompts lead to better responses. But today, we're going to dive even deeper. What if I told you that a simple tweaks could actually take your prompts from meh to mind-blowing? Well, they can. And in this video, I'll show you 4 powerful hacks that will instantly improve your ChatGPT experience. By the end of this video, you'll be able to craft prompts that get detailed, insightful, and super accurate responses every single time.
The first hack, act as an expert hack, or more role based prompting. Now, the fundamental concept is pretty straightforward. When you assign a specific expert role to ChatGPT, it adjusts its response style, depth of information, perspective to match that expertise. So, this kind of creates a more tailored and more valuable output. So, instead of simply asking a question directly, you begin your prompt with a role designation, such as act as an expert who specializes in this particular area. Let me just give you a very simple example. So in ChatGPT, if I start off with a very simple prompt saying explain quantum computing. Now this is pretty basic. But what if I add a role over there? So in front of the same prompt, I'm going to add a very simple role saying ChatGPT, you are now my expert physics professor at MIT. And you're going to explain quantum computing not to one of those college students over there, but to a high school student. So here I'm going to just write to a high school student in simple terms. Now, this makes quantum computing more simple such that it can actually be understood by high school students. How cool is that? Hack 2. Use chain of thought or simply asking ChatGPT to think step by step. When you ask ChatGPT to solve a complex question, it often jumps into conclusions. So instead of that, we are asking GPT to think in steps. Now, the technique works explicitly by instructing the AI to break the problem into smaller, manageable components, address each component in a logical sequence, and then finally show its reasoning at each step. Output of each step is going to be the input for the next step or next subsequent steps. Arrive at the final answer through a very structured progression. Now, to implement this technique, you can actually put in words like think step by step, or once you give a question, you could say, let's break this down into steps. Or even better, you could ask, first do this, then do this, finally do that. Or you could just say, show your reasoning for each step or work through this systematically. Now, for this particular problem that we have, it's a math problem, and I want to see how it works step by step. So, for this particular question, I'm going to ask GPT to solve this in a very step by step manner. So, the first thing that I'm going to ask GPT is to solve this problem step by step. Okay, solve this problem. Now, let me make it a little more clear. I'm going to ask GPT first calculate how far the first train had traveled by 4 p.m. And then, once you've calculated that, then determine how much time did it take for the second time to catch up, because that's the question that we want to solve. Now, let's solve this. Now it actually breaks the question down into step by step process. So step 1, it calculates how far the first train has traveled by 4 p.m. And then step 2, the time taken, and finally the time where both meet. Now this actually makes ChatGPT think like a human and avoid mistakes. So use think step by step process whenever you have complex problems to solve. Hack number 3. One of the most effective ways to get precisely the tone, the style, and the format you want from ChatGPT is through example based prompting. Now, this technique, sometimes called as the few shot learning technique in AI terminology, actually leverages ChatGPT's pattern recognition abilities to match your desired output style. So ChatGPT has been trained to identify and replicate patterns in text. So when you provide an example of your desired output, you're giving ChatGPT a clear template to follow rather than just relying on the default style it has or interpretation of the vague instructions that you give. ChatGPT mimics patterns, and if you show it an example, it will follow that style perfectly. Let me give you an example. Let's say I put in a very simple basic prompt write a product description for a fitness watch. Now, what if I could actually give it an example first? So maybe I want a description for a fitness watch. Here, let me add a few examples. So I'm going to remove that and say, this is an example of how it's done. Now, on similar lines, write a similar description for maybe a smart water bottle. And let's see what happens there. There you go. Right? So, with a very simple example, ChatGPT understands the tone and style you're looking out for. Example based prompting is one of the most powerful techniques for getting consistent style specific results from ChatGPT. So, by showing rather than telling, you're leveraging the model's pattern recognition capabilities and dramatically improving the first attempt accuracy. So, when you need content that matches a specific voice, tone, or format, always include examples rather than just trying to describe the style you want. Now, the next hack is all about asking for multiple versions or perspectives. Now, when working with AI tools like ChatGPT, one of the most valuable yet underutilized techniques is requesting for multiple options or perspectives in a single prompt. Now, this approach transforms AI from a single answer generator into a rich idea source that actually provides various alternatives for your consideration. Now, you need variety. Instead of asking for one answer, actually request for multiple responses. Let me show you how. So let's say I want to have a few ideas for my blog post or vlog post. So this would be an example for a bad prompt where I'm just asking for a caption for my travel, vlog. But what if I could actually ask something like this? Instead of giving me just one option, all right, what if I say, don't do that? Give me five different options. One should be funny, one should be inspirational, one should be short and catchy, the other poetic, and the other one using emojis. Now look at that. I have a one of each and I can get to choose which one relates with me. So the fact that I can have multiple options to choose from is something we all relate with. So ask for multiple responses whenever you need them.
Now it's your turn to put these into practice. Start with your very next ChatGPT conversation. Take a basic prompt you might normally use and enhance it with one of these techniques. I guarantee you'll see differences immediately. If these hacks have been really helpful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more advanced AI techniques. We're just scratching the surface of what's possible.